Welcome to the channel For the Sake of the Call. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. I sincerely thank you for lending me your ear for a bit. I pray your time investment is well worth it. Now, you probably noticed the band-aids on my nose. If you regularly visit the channel, you likely recall how I mentioned a biopsy needed to be performed on both sides of my nose. Well, it came back showing basal cell skin cancer. I had it excised and a skin graft applied to the right side. Thank God everything is progressing well. I do ask for your prayers that it heals in the desired manner. I appreciate it. Now, in this message, I will discuss what I and others have found to be an effective way to organize your thought life. Clearly, you have noticed how some individuals seem to remain very even-keeled, regardless of how challenging the situation or circumstances they encounter. Others, on the other hand, appear to transition from one unpleasant emotional season in their lives to another. Whether you're a member of the former or latter group, it all boils down to one thing, that being your thoughts. I entitled the message for today, Your Mind is a Battlefield. What's in your thought arsenal? With that, I'll get on with it. It's unlikely there is a person in the listening audience who wouldn't agree that life brings its fair share of challenges. Life, like a batting cage at your local game park, can pitch you fastballs that not only cause you to swing and miss, but send you reeling. You're going along in this labyrinth, maze, rat race, or journey we call life, and you get hit smack dab in the face with the sobering hand of reality. The reality that rain falls on the just and the unjust. The reality that life does not consist of a long chain of fortuitous events. You do have good times, but they are mixed with bad times. Troubles, challenges, obstacles, snares, and pitfalls are encountered along the road of life, and that's just the way it is. Some of those challenges can have a significant impact on us. They can shape who we are as individuals and how we respond to future challenges. I propose to you that COVID not only impacted us physiologically, but socially, psychologically, and emotionally. Consider the profound impact that limited social interaction and isolation can have on us. We are creatures who, at varying degrees, desire companionship and social interaction. That in-person kind of interaction was taken from us. Consider the fear and anxiety an individual experiences when their job or business is taken from them without warning. It's a recent familiar and dreadful challenge that some of you have encountered. Politicians chose to shut down the economy because of COVID, and it severely impacted us all. Obviously, some were hit harder than others. It can't be denied that one of the facets of the human condition is a requirement to address challenges throughout our entire earthly existence. It's possible you have been the recipient of ill and misguided scorn, physical, mental, emotional, or even sexual abuse. Maybe you were told you would never amount to anything by people who were supposed to love and nurture you. Maybe you have or will be required to deal with the loss of employment, the loss of possessions, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a friend or loved one, the loss of a child, the loss of your good health. Challenges or stressors, things possessing the potential to evoke strain or tension, come in all shapes and sizes. They possess the ability to cause varying degrees of mental and emotional stress. So how do you handle them? I'm confident we're all in agreement with two undeniable truths. First, unpleasant events will come and continue to come. Sadly, there are occasions when it seems like the hits just keep on coming. Second, unpleasant events can give rise to equally unpleasant emotions and subsequent aberrant behaviors. Now, before I proceed, allow me to preface the remainder of my message with a few statements. I do not judge, criticize or condemn anyone who suffers with an emotional or psychological disorder. On the contrary, I empathize with your struggle and want you to know there is hope. I do not suggest you stop medications that have been prescribed for an emotional or psychological disorder. I am fully aware there are chemical imbalances requiring pharmacologic intervention when, for whatever reason, the Lord has not healed an individual from it. I do not minimize what you have experienced in your life. I have a godly love for you. I care about you, and I want to help. You see, I experienced some hesitancy in preparation for this message. I will be discussing a topic that isn't generally discussed from behind the pulpit. It can make people uncomfortable. Maybe that explains why many pastors or ministers refrain from speaking about it. Truth be told, I was concerned about how you might take it. I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable or put anyone on guard. But that doesn't negate the fact that people are struggling. The fact that it is a topic rarely broached from behind the pulpit, and I entertain concern about whether you would accept it if I did, doesn't justify ignoring it. It can't be ignored. We are members of one body, and that is the body of Christ. When one is hurting, the others should recognize it, hurt with them, and come to their aid. We should be open and transparent. We should feel at ease communicating with brothers or sisters we trust and respect. This isn't about being uncomfortable, and it certainly isn't a pride issue. It's a love, comfort, and support issue. I truly believe there are those who are seriously struggling. Wouldn't this time be worth it if it provided some hope and direction to an individual in need? Over the years, I've noticed how Christians are real good about giving hugs and exchanging pleasantries with one another. We say, "Hey, it's good to see you. Give me a hug. Be blessed." I think that's great. Sometimes we might even ask, "How are you doing?" Do we really want to know? Or is it just another pleasantry like all the rest? Upon consideration of the question as it falls from our lips, do we regret asking the question because we don't have the time, patience, or sincere interest in knowing how the recipient of our question is really doing? I tend to ask people that question on a regular basis. I am concerned and interested. Sometimes I ask it again when a person is obviously offering me the same canned response we so often use and hear. They say, "I'm fine. Hey, I'm good. Things are going well. Thanks for asking." I might follow it up with, "No, really, how are you doing?" When a person is experiencing profound depression, anxiety, helplessness, hopelessness, and despair, they often feel alone in their plight. They often entertain the notion that no one really cares. They often say they're fine because they have concluded that you really don't want to know, and there probably isn't anything you can do to help. They just put on a happy face as they continue to believe a couple of enormous lies that just so happen to be contained in a song by Matthew West entitled "Truth Be Told." I encourage you to check it out. The link will be provided in the description. I'll read the lyrics to you. It goes like this. Lie number 1, you're supposed to have it all together. And when they ask you how you're doing, just smile and tell them never better. Lie number 2, everybody's life is perfect except yours. So keep your messes and your wounds and your secrets safe with you behind closed doors. Truth be told, the truth is rarely told. Now I say I'm fine, yeah, I'm fine, oh, I'm fine, hey, I'm fine, but I'm not, I'm broken. And when it's out of control, I say it's under control, but it's not, and you know it. I don't know why it's so hard to admit it when being honest is the only way to fix it. There's no failure, no fall. There's no sin you don't already know, so let the truth be told. There's a sign on the door that says, "Come as you are," but I doubt it. Because if we lived like it was true, every Sunday morning pew would be crowded. But didn't you say the church should look more like a hospital, a safe place for the sick, the sinner, and the scarred and the prodigals like me? Well, truth be told, the truth is rarely told. Oh, am I the only one who says I'm fine? Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. Hey, I'm fine. But I'm not. I'm broken. And when it's out of control, I say it's under control, but it's not, and you know it. I don't know why it's so hard to admit it when being honest is the only way to fix it. There's no failure, no fall. There's no sin you don't already know. So let the truth be told. Can I really stand here unashamed, knowing that your love for me won't change? Oh God, if that's really true, then let the truth be told. I say I'm fine, yeah, I'm fine, oh, I'm fine. Hey, I'm fine. But I'm not. I'm broken. When it's out of control, I say it's under control, but it's not, and you know it. I don't know why it's so hard to admit it when being honest is the only way to fix it. There's no failure, no fall. There's no sin you don't already know. There's no failure, no fall. There's no sin you don't already know. So let the truth be told. You see, I don't want church and this ministry to be places where you can't tell it like it really is. I don't want to have relationships that are void of honesty and transparency or are based on pretense. Our relationships with other members of the body of Christ and other members of the human race in general should be such that the truth can be told. That is more apt to occur if we all recognize the fact that the responsibility for an open exchange of dialogue, consisting of honesty and transparency, doesn't only reside with the one who is in the midst of a storm in their life. All of us should feel comfortable communicating our deep, dark concerns with a brother or sister when we are in need. And all of us should demonstrate behavior that strongly suggests a brother or sister in need can trust us as they share their deep, dark concerns. I'll be honest with you. I won't go to another individual with anything if they have a track record of failing to maintain confidentiality or a track record of being judgmental or critical. It really is a two-way street in the sense that we want people to feel like they can trust us, but we have to take responsibility for ensuring they have a reason to trust us. You may not know that I've had an interest in psychology or the human mind, and I have been involved in Christian counseling. The thing that prompted my interest is an observation I made quite a long time ago, back in my childhood. I observed that there are those who deal with stressors more effectively and comfortably than others. I observed that there are those who consistently demonstrate joy and peace, regardless of what they are going through. When they are hit, they promptly bounce back. Conversely, I have observed individuals who remain in a consistent state of anxiety, depression, gloom, and despair. They don't quickly bounce back, and on occasion, you wonder if they will bounce back at all. It's as though emotional assaults just accumulate over the course of time, breaking them down more and more with each new incident. Molehills become mountains as they struggle to find resolve with day-to-day challenges, not to mention the stressors that have been identified as significant. While attempting to ascertain why some appear to be more resilient than others, I began to become more and more introspective. While hoping and praying for a way to somehow offer hope to the hopeless, encouraging words to the severely depressed, or peace to the anxiety-ridden, I began to carefully consider the steps I take when I encounter challenging situations. Now, if you know me, you know I am an even-keeled kind of guy. Believe me, I don't take it lightly. I am extremely thankful to God for it. I know I'm nothing special. Honestly, I really don't think I am that way because of anything I did in the beginning. I truly believe it is largely due to how God created me. I'm stubborn and I don't take things lying down. And when it comes to our feelings or unpleasant emotions, I think that's extremely important. As more and more people came to me with emotional concerns, I began to break down what I do when confronted by a challenging issue. I knew it worked for me. I figured it could prove effective for others when replicated. It took some time to identify the steps I consistently take because it had become such a habit and routine. I began to consider how I approached things as a kid. I recognized at an early age that our minds are a battlefield, and we can't merely sit back when under attack. We, with help from the Holy Spirit, must engage in the conflict if we ever hope to win. And you can only offer a suitable defense and wage an effective offensive when you identify the root of the problem, recognize the resources and weaponry that are available to you, store them, and utilize them when necessary. That's where the title of this message originated. Your mind is a battlefield. What's in your thought arsenal? In this message, I will share with you a step-by-step approach to dealing with challenging situations of various levels of significance. Let me be clear. I do not propose to you that my approach is the only approach. I do propose that it is an approach. You must have one. And it has proven effective for me and others. And it may prove beneficial to you. Whether you're a Christian or not, on a daily basis, we receive input from what I often refer to as our three adversaries: the carnal mind, the devil and his little pukes, and our peers. Our mind is a battlefield between right and wrong, between depression and joy, between peace and anxiety, and between hope and despair, just to name a few battles in this perpetual war. We can't be oblivious to that fact. We can't simply meander through life without recognizing it and taking it into careful consideration. How effective can your defense and offense be if you don't realize where the battle will occur and who the players are in it? The Bible tells us that the carnal mind is enmity against the Spirit of God. It will never concede to the law of God. It is inherently contrary to God. Thoughts originating in the carnal mind stand in stark contrast to the mind of Christ. They are polar opposite of thoughts derived from the Spirit. The Bible tells us that being carnally minded brings death, but to be spiritually minded brings life and peace. The devil's sole objective is to steal, kill, and destroy. He hates us. That will never change. He devises schemes, interjects thoughts, and orchestrates events that have the potential to break us down. Our peers or other inhabitants of this planet can either support us or tear us down if we let them. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. How one uses their tongue quickly reveals who they are and their intent. I'm not suggesting every person is out to get us. That would be a bit paranoid. However, our peers can speak encouraging words or discouraging words. Sometimes hurtful words or actions are unintentional, and sometimes they are premeditated. We all must contend with those three adversaries. And once they plot their attack, our minds are the location upon which they implement their schemes and wage war. Our minds play an enormous role in our Christian walk and in every facet of our lives, for that matter. Consider the child who was repeatedly told by his or her parent or parents that they would never amount to anything. If not expelled, those messages will play over and over in their minds like an audio loop. They will begin to find things that validate rather than invalidate those inaccurate critiques. After all, they were uttered by a person or persons who were supposed to love and nurture them. They were uttered by the very people who knew them best. Even in adulthood, those individuals battle with low self-esteem and psychological issues. Consider the numerous psychophysiological disorders that exist. A psychophysiological disorder is a physical disease that is derived from or worsened by stress. They are physical diseases that are associated with psychological overlays or emotional factors. The most common types of psychophysiological disorders includes migraine headaches, tension headaches, cardiovascular related disorders like coronary artery disease and essential hypertension, and gastrointestinal disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome and peptic ulcer. Now, please understand, I am not suggesting these disorders are not real or they are just in a person's mind. They are very real, but they can be associated with a person's mind or emotions. As I said before, our minds play a crucial role in many facets of our lives. That explains why it is the battlefield of our three adversaries. Attack the mind, and you can negatively impact a person physically, psychologically, and/or emotionally. Earlier in my nursing career, I worked as an infusion nurse. I administered a variety of intravenous medications. That included medications used for the treatment of autoimmune diseases. For those of you who aren't familiar with that term, an autoimmune disease is one in which the body's immune system attacks healthy cells. If you break it down to its most simple terms, auto means self. The immune system attacks the host body or itself. There are several autoimmune diseases. Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and multiple sclerosis, or MS, fall under that category. I have treated numerous individuals who suffered with MS. When you're administering certain intravenous medications, you have a bit of time to chat because some infusions take longer than others. I had the opportunity and pleasure to get to know, on a more personal level, numerous patients with MS. What I consistently observed in those individuals was an inability to come to resolve with issues in their lives. I can tell you that it was easy to rule out the possibility that it was a coincidence because it wasn't just a few of them who struggled with finding resolve. It was every single one of them. Their conversations indicated it. And when some were asked straight up if that was an issue in their lives, every one of those patients offered the same affirmative response. I truly believe that one possible cause of autoimmune diseases is directly linked to one's inability to effectively find resolve when confronted with offenses, challenges, or other attacks on the mind. When stuff eats at you, it will manifest in one form or another. I have had family members and friends who suffered with an autoimmune disease. In every case, they struggled with finding resolve with past and present issues. Your mind is a battlefield. What's in your thought arsenal? I mentioned I would like to share a step-by-step approach to addressing challenges in our lives. Now that I've laid a foundation, it seems like as good a time as any to get on with it. Step number 1, you must recognize that you are experiencing an unpleasant emotional response. I realize that may sound strange. Have you ever noticed how you become desensitized to a certain thing when, over the course of time, you have been repeatedly exposed to it? It quickly becomes customary or commonplace. It takes more and more stimulation before the alarm goes off. You probably remember those old car alarms. The wind would blow and the car alarm would get triggered. Maybe one of your neighbors had a hypersensitive car alarm. Like a sudden crack in the earth during the quiet of a peaceful night's rest, you would be rudely awakened by the sound. It's possible you thought, it's 3 a.m, here we go again. We get a little wind and Bob's stupid car alarm goes off, waking up the whole neighborhood. We should be like that car alarm. We should never get comfortable with unpleasant emotions. We should promptly address them because if ignored, over the course of time, they possess the potential to cause real harm. In addition, we should never get comfortable with unpleasant emotions because God didn't create us to feel horrible. Consider the fruits of the Spirit. As Christians, we can appreciate and manifest the fruits of the Spirit of God because His Spirit dwells within us. In Galatians 5:22 through 23, we find the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. You see, it's love, not hate. It's joy, not depression. It's peace, not anxiety. As we see in 2 Timothy 1:7, Paul informed Timothy, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." God gave you and me. He gave every Christian the spirit of power, love, and of a sound mind. When you really consider what that means, you promptly realize what God has done for us is all-encompassing and amazing. Check out a couple of excerpts from Adam Clarke's commentary on the verse. He wrote, "But of power, to work miracles, to confound enemies, to support us in trials and enable us to do that which is lawful and right in His sight, and of love, which enables us to hear, believe, hope, and endure all things, and is the incentive to all obedience." Didn't Jesus say, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments"? Of a sound mind, of self-possession and government, according to some. But a sound mind implies much more. It means a clear understanding, a sound judgment, a rectified will, holy passions, heavenly tempers. In a word, the whole soul harmonized in all its powers and faculties and completely regulated and influenced so as to think, speak, and act aright in all things. Regardless of what I just shared and the numerous other scriptures that speak to what God desires for us on a psychological or emotional level, I have still met individuals who continue to entertain unhealthy thoughts and subsequently accept unpleasant emotional responses or accept a life of depression, anxiety, doom, gloom, and despair. It's very sad. I'm confident they could offer reasons for it. Some may appear valid, but nothing is able to stand against our God. By the power of His Spirit, we can crucify the flesh or our carnal nature. We can bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. We can overcome the devil because greater is He that is in us than he that is in the world. We can submit ourselves to God, resist the devil, and watch him flee. We need to be ever mindful of the fact that no weapon formed against us, whether of natural or supernatural derivation, can prosper or produce the intended outcome. Our carnal nature and the schemes of our other two adversaries are ultimately rendered ineffective in the life of an obedient servant of God. Yet, some still believe they are doomed to live a life of emotional turmoil. Many have arrived at that conclusion because a physician, psychiatrist, or psychologist in whom they place considerable trust and confidence told them or implied that they have a psychological condition and all they can do is attempt to treat the associated symptoms. Out of respect for your time, I'm going to stop there. I can't encourage you enough to check out part 2 of this message. I truly believe it will prove helpful to you if you struggle with feelings of depression, anxiety, hopelessness, and despair, to name a few. It will assist you in your struggle with organizing your thoughts. God bless you, and have a great week. Thank you for joining us on For the Sake of the Call. We sincerely hope and pray this and every episode is a blessing to you. At the very least, we hope and pray you find it thought-provoking. We consider it an honor to serve our Lord by serving you. If you found something of value with this episode, we ask that you comment, hit the like button, and subscribe. We also ask that you click the notification button so you can be informed of upcoming episodes. If you would like to contact us, please see the link in the description below. May God richly bless you, and may your relationship with Him grow each and every day.